great to be with Ripon, and love what y'all do. I mean, the Ripon Society is a group I've worked with for years before I was in leadership, before I was even the RC chair. So I thank all of you for what you do. I think Kevin and I are going to be talking a bit about some things coming up. I know many of you are excited to see President Obama's last State of the Union address. What I wanted to do is just cover a few things that we were able to do in 2015, because it was a busy year. You know, the majority leader had a very aggressive schedule on the floor. We're going to have a really aggressive schedule on the floor this year, and our members are going to go to our retreat this weekend and talk through what we all as a conference want to tackle in terms of the bold agenda that the speaker's laid out. He wants us to be bold. I think it's important for us to be bold, especially as you see a presidential race coming later this year, kind of taking over all the oxygen in the room, while we have a few months with people of the country paying attention to what's going on in Congress. It's a real opportunity to show people what we stand for, and that's going to be member-driven. It starts this next few days when we go to Baltimore. But when you look at 2015, I mean, we ended with an omnibus bill that we laid out a number of things we wanted to achieve, and something that was going to be very complicated to work through. But we wanted to, first of all, get more buy-in from our own members. And I think early off, getting 100 Republicans to vote for that would have been, I think, considered a big accomplishment. Then we pushed for majority. The majority in the end, 150 Republicans voted for the final product. And it was important to allow us to be in a position in 2016 to go on offense. But there were some important components in that, especially tied to the tax extenders bill that was part of the negotiated package. We got 20 different tax extenders made permanent, R&D, 179, some really big things to put some certainty in a tax code that's had big problems with uncertainty that's hurting our economy. So I thought that was a big achievement. Getting a highway bill done, a long-term highway bill paid for, big achievement. Having a budget that we were able to come together with the Senate for the first time since 2001 to pass a budget that actually gets to balance in the 10-year window. That's not something that should happen once every 15 years, but it was something that we were able to do, and it was a big achievement. And it gave us a tool of reconciliation, which our members really wanted to utilize to go after Obamacare, and ultimately we were able to pass a bill that guts Obamacare and defunds Planned Parenthood and get it to the president's desk. He vetoed it last week, but the majority leader, Kevin, set a date for January 26th. We'll have the first ever House vote to override a Barack Obama veto on January 26th. And it shows people, it shows the country that if you actually had a president that shared our values, you could gut Obamacare, which has devastated jobs. I'll deal with the repercussions in my district in Southeast Louisiana. Still the #1 item cited by small businesses in terms of what holds them back from creating jobs. It's the rules and regulations, and it's Obamacare. And so us tackling a lot of those items, bringing forward an agenda, the doc fix, making it permanent, a doc fix, which something we've been grappling with for 17 years. Part of the omnibus. Sam Johnson's been battling for years. You quoted Sam Johnson. He's made it a passion of his for probably 2 decades to try to reform Social Security, something that we hadn't been able to do in over 20 years. And yet there's $168 billion savings from the Social Security disability program, something that's scheduled for bankruptcy. And Sam was finally able to get language in that bill that puts real reforms in the Social Security disability fund, saving both Social Security and disability for future years. And then, of course, we got the Trade Promotion Authority bill done. Big win for conservatives to get the opportunity for 5 years to actually go and pass good trade bills. But it all started in the House, so it was a very successful year in terms of things we were able to get done. We blocked some bad things, but we actually got some really good things done for the country and the economy. There are a lot of bigger things we'd like to see. I'd sure like the president to lay some of those out tonight. I'm not expecting them if you judge by history, but the opportunity would be there. But at least it sets the stage for what's at stake in the presidential election and what we're going to be tackling in a bold House agenda. And I know Kevin's been talking about some of that. So thanks a lot for the work that Ripon does. Great to be with y'all.
Someone who needs no introduction.
I was going to say, I got screwed this. I looked over. I thought my notes said Steve was going to introduce me. Hold on. No, you already know it. You have to say it. The majority leader, Kevin McCarthy. If it makes you feel any better, that's better than I get in conference. I got bad staff. I don't know if Sam introduced him. Let me give a quick shot. And, it's great working with Steve. I can tease Steve. You know, Steve and I have been friends. We were friends 10 years before we ever ran for Congress. When Steve ran, I was the first person to endorse him. We were in Young Republicans together, and we learned all of our politics pretty much from Young Republicans. But that's uniqueness. And the leadership team itself, I think you get some real unity there, especially with Paul doing Young Guns together at the beginning. So I really feel very good about where we are in this leadership team. We're first of the year, and there's something different that we never had before. We have no cliffs hanging out in front of us. Think about that. And there's a couple things that Steve talked about that were big, that we should actually celebrate. That one thing this majority has not learned how to celebrate. We learned how to complain, but we have not learned how to celebrate. I mean, 17 times they tried to solve SGR, right? And they had all three bodies at the time, the Senate, the House, and the President couldn't do it. Highway, 35 times they gave a short extension. We now did a 5-year. Yeah. Permanency, what he's talking about on tax extenders. I don't know if that hurts your business if, by making it permanent. I'm sorry about that. But that also sets a stage where we can get overall tax reform. So tonight we get the President's State of the Union. He's going to make it different. He's going to make it like a farewell tour. And I think he's going to do this whole year. He's going to try to continue to poke us in the chest, make us try to react to him instead of we can stay on message. And if you watch this week, we're bracketing him and what we're doing. There's a couple of bills you should vote on. We had a one on suspension yesterday, but we held it to vote today. We'll vote on it, our last thing before we sweep the chambers. And that's sanctions on North Korea. You think the President will say anything about North Korea? Then tomorrow, before we depart, we will have sanctions about Iran. You know, the President and the Treasury Secretary, or the Treasury Department, they wanted to impose those sanctions on Iran. I think it lasted, what, 42 minutes? And they pulled back. And then, I mean, I know he's made new relationships with Cuba. They've got a Hellfire missile down there. Are they bringing them back? Giving those a missile back? No. What's happening in foreign policy around the country, that's why that's the #1 issue growing. And you're going to see the House continue to lead, and you'll also see on these bills that these are very bipartisan. Now, there's another action that we're taking that we should follow this Waters in the U.S. And we're doing it by Congressional Review Act. You've got a lot of bright minds in here that used to work over in that building. We're going to try to move the Congressional Review Act much more. Because when we took the majority, okay, we had Congress 2 terms. He didn't veto one of our bills. He had vetoed 2 bills prior, but is in the Democratic majority. He's now vetoed 6. Now, he offers a lot of SAPs, 2.5 per week. We only really do 3 bills under rules each week, so you can imagine how many he's offering. The more we get to his desk. He's vetoed 6. 3 of them have been Congressional Review Acts. But it finally takes it to his desk. It has a much different value. Now, we're going to go away on retreat this week. We've got the Senate there with us as well. We're going to have very soft food for everybody. So. All the young ones are running for president. So they'll go well. We'll end early, and so that was But the goal here is really to come out and frame an agenda. We want to be very bold. We want to have something that we run on. I don't know what's going to happen in the presidential. Nobody can predict, but we want to make sure we have something that we can run on and that we're actually doing. And I think that'll be very productive. I think it'll help the presidential nominee. They won't affect us. We can affect them, and they can start picking for what we're doing. And if there's anything overall that we have to look at, and the climate is different. You see the climate in everything you do, and I call it positive disruption. There's positive disruption that's happening across this country. We are actually in our 4th industrial revolution. And it's happening much faster than any revolution we've had before. When you think in the room of what you've been doing, how old is it, Uber, right? But it has transformed something that's been around forever. But it's transforming the taxi industry that is what, like, big bureaucracy is. But when it does that, it empowers individuals. It gives you more accountability, and it gives you more efficiency. think about from the perspective of all that's happening, the disruption that you're having inside politics, you're having economically, we need to start having it inside government. If we can take that philosophy, and we can bring positive disruption, what would the VA look like? One, it would empower more people individually, give you greater accountability, greater data. And this movement is happening so fast, this is the place we've missed. So you'll watch inside our debate at the retreat. I think you'll like our agenda. I think you'll like every aspect of it. Some things will probably put you in business longer, but you'll like it. And I think that'll be very positive for individuals here. The conference, much more united than it's been in the past. I think we're smart enough not to pick the certain fights we haven't with the president, and it's going better. We look forward till tonight because it's the last one. And other than that, I think we take questions now. Am I supposed to introduce you to come back up?